Hello, my name is Larry Flick. I am a business professor at a college in Connecticut. I have always been amazed about how politicians and educators think differently than business people about making decisions. Educators make decisions about teaching, and politicians about getting elected, with possibly limited consideration of how business people might think concerning the process of making a decision. The purpose of this video is to persuade politicians and educators to understand what business people think when making decisions. The goal is to convince politicians and educators that thinking more like a business person may allow them to better achieve their desired outcomes. When you think about business, there are so many areas you can focus on: accounting, marketing, production, business administration. But when it really comes down to it, there are 4 words that describe what business people think when making decisions. They are cost, benefit, risk, and return. These 4 words and all the meaning behind them represent a business person's thinking when making a decision. The relationships between the 4 words can be graphically shown as follows. First, let's take a look at what the words mean. Then we'll get on to the relationships. Cost usually are calculated in dollars and relates to buying or selling something. Benefit can be related to outcomes like increased public relations, achieving environmental goals, or getting elected. Risk relates to probability of failure, or what are the chances of your decision being correct. And return is what you will receive, usually calculated in dollars and related to profit, but not necessarily. There are 6 different relationships represented by the arrows between them. Number 1, cost-benefit, along the top. Number 2, cost-return, diagonally. Number 3, cost-risk, below. Number 4, benefit-return, below. Number 5, benefit-risk, diagonally. Number 6, return-risk, along the bottom. Let's take a look at some examples of the 6 relationships. Number 1, here we will be looking at cost versus benefit. Let's say we're in business and looking at buying new equipment. We would then need to know the exact cost of the equipment and then weigh the potential benefits, possibly increased production, safety, and/or profit against the cost. If the benefits are more than the cost, the business person may make the decision to buy the equipment. If you are an educator, the relationship may be between the cost of developing a new course versus the benefit of satisfying student interest, increased enrollment, and tuition. If you are a politician, it might be between the campaign cost versus the benefits of being elected. Number 2, next, we'll look at cost versus return. The business person may have to make a decision about investing money in an environmental safety project and compare it with the benefits of the project. Number 3, next, let's look at cost versus risk. In this case, the business person may calculate the cost and compare it to the risk incurred. Number 4, now let's look at benefit versus return. Here we compare the benefit with the return. Number 5, now the benefit versus risk. And number 6, the return versus risks. Once all or most of the relationships are considered and weighed against each other, the correct decision will most likely become obvious. Though it may be easier for the business person to deal in finite dollar terms, I hope you are convinced that the process would also result in better decisions for educators and politicians.